It's amazing to see queer creatives, creatives of color, and all those that live in these intersecting identities not take the we can't be afraid to do that because we think that, oh, okay, well, don't bite the hand that feeds you, you know? Fuck that. Bite that hand, you know? Continue to bite that hand. I be biting that hand all the time.
It's time to see Kia LaBeija. Kia's namesake LaBeija comes from New York's famed royal house of LaBeija, which holds a special place in queer history. A history that Kia continues to uphold and revere in her work. She's a visual artist who explores the reality of being an HIV-positive woman of color in America through photography, dance, and film. I'm Jazz Jennings, LGBTQ+ advocate and a proud member of the trans community, and this is Seen.
The art that makes me feel the most seen would be my photography. Because I have so much control over it, I can portray myself however I'd like to be seen. I always think of my photographs as me dancing, like having this dance between myself and the camera. I am both the camera and I am both the subject, which I think is really, really powerful, especially because there's so many historical narratives of people of color, queer people of color, being on just one side of the camera. Their narratives being told through the lenses of those who do not have those experiences. Being a part of ballroom culture, especially being a part of the House of LaBeija, the first ballroom house, being a part of such a big, beautiful, historical narrative has informed a lot of my work. I've learned so much from the time that I've spent in ballroom. I still use the name LaBeija to honor that moment of my life. And I think Kia LaBeija has always been a part of my dream. When I first began making work, I felt like I was able to dive into my vulnerability because I could use this fantasy version of myself. I could use the dream version of myself to tell a story that was very hard. But over time, you know, as I was in this space for so long and as I was working more and more, I decided that I wanted to take the mask off and I wanted to be able to show myself not just as a character that I had built, but who I feel I am more on a daily basis, regular basis. I started making work that was so personal and so vulnerable because I just hadn't seen it anywhere. And it was important for me to be visible. After doing that, I realized, okay, this is something important for me to do. No matter how difficult or hard it is, I'd like to be that representation. I just like to be what I never saw growing up. My photos, I think, are my greatest treasures. I periodically will go back and look at things. And I definitely say that the photographs that I created for my 24 series were some of the most important. When I look back at that, I'm stunned, I'm wowed, and I'm really proud of myself because I took so many years to work so hard on a project. I finally can see a greater view of myself and who I am in my story, and that's really important for me because I feel like people see me in increments, you know? I think originally, yes, I wanted to be my title. Yes, I wanted to give it to you like this and say, this is my story, this is who I am, this is what I haven't seen, so I'm gonna show it to you. But now I'm like, okay, but I want you to know everything else that came with all of that, you know? A lot of the work that I do is looking at growing up living with HIV, being a brown woman, being a queer woman, being a mixed race person. And I'm very proud of that. But I felt over the years, I felt some shame in it. And I felt the shame because whenever my story is presented to the world, it feels like I'm first presented as that representation before I'm presented as me. if you look for me on the internet, the first thing that you'll see is, the most personal, most vulnerable thing about me, which is that I'm a person living with HIV, and I'm still learning and coping and trying to figure out how to deal and navigate with that, even though I've been this person for 30 years. It's hard for me, it makes me sad. Sometimes it makes me cry. But at the same time, when I do talks or, show my photographs, to have that moment of someone coming up to me and feeling like they can relate, it's so special, and it's so, so important, but it's so, so hard, and it's complicated. How do we navigate being really proud of our identities and wanting to be represented, but also how do we navigate being exploited for our identities? The world actually is in a very interesting time right now, and art is a reflection of the world, and we're seeing a lot of new voices that are coming into the forefront. But I always question, why are we seeing these new voices? Are we seeing new voices because now people of color, queer people are trending topics? It's kind of a double-edged sword, It's wonderful for us to be so visible. I always question, am I just filling someone's quota? As much as, queer people, people of color, all those who are at these intersecting identities, as much as we're coming into the forefront, there's still so much work that needs to be done. And I think there is also this realization of us not wanting to be used, because it defeats the whole purpose, I think growing up, that's always been a struggle, never fitting in one box, but having to check one box, and usually always having to check the other box. But part of me kind of loves it now, I think we're living in a world where we're starting to see that we can accept all these intersecting identities, and you don't have to be this or that. I feel a lot of freedom in that. But it's funny because I do still find myself wanting to check boxes a lot. And I think that's because as humans, we're always just trying to figure out who we are. Am I this, or am I that, or am I this, or am I that? And these are the things that just keep me up at night. I'm learning that that's outdated. And I'm outgrowing that. And I feel good about that.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Seen. If you'd like to follow Kia or see more of her work, you can find her on Instagram at goodnight_Kia.